Hi BookTube, I'm here today to do my July TBR. I cannot believe it's going to be July already, but it for sure is hot enough here. I have my window open, so sorry if you hear any background noise, but I wanted it open for the cool breeze I can get. Yes, this month feels like the month of the read-alongs and the readathons. As you'll see when I talk about my TBR, many of them are going to be books that different people are hosting. So the first one is a buddy read, and it's my first buddy read. I'm excited. It's Evelina, or the History of a Young Lady's Entrance into the World by Frances Burney. Here's this cover. I was happy I found a copy. I think like the very next day that we discussed doing a buddy read, I found it it's like meant to be. And this is a buddy read I'm doing with Rainey from Rainy Day Reads and Angie from Literary Labors. And this is for Jane Austen July. And along with this one, I do plan on watching some adaptations because I haven't watched many of them. I've seen the Pride and Prejudice, the BBC adaptation, and like the 2004 or 5 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. But those are literally the only adaptations of Jane Austen's works that I've seen. And so I for sure have quite a few I know I can select from, and I will do that. I'll report back at the end of the month with which of them I know. I'll probably want to watch a couple that I have watched. And I also might read Mansfield Park because that's the last book of Jane Austen's that I haven't read, and so that also fit the prompt for Jane Austen July. And then for Steve Donahue's channel, he's doing The Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, and this is a reread for me, and this is a really nice edition. It has like little stars. I don't think it's picking up on the light. Maybe there you can see it. It's like shiny little stars, and this is about a group of ranchers, like older men who previously they were like Texas Rangers, and now they're kind of like bumming around, and they feel like kind of like they're going to seed in a way, and so they decide to get a bunch of cattle and take it from a small town in Texas on the southern border all the way up to like the Montana area. And so it's all about their journey, and this book is full of like really rich characters, and the setting is fantastic. You get a really good feel for the West. So yeah, this will be a nice reread for me. And then the other book that he is doing is Lord Fowlsbane by Stephen R. Donaldson. Well, he's not doing this one. It's a whole other group, I think, that is doing this. But I've heard him talk about it. And I don't know anything about this series or this author. I've never read him. It's the first book in the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever. And it says, he called himself Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever, because he dared not believe in the strange alternate world in which he suddenly found himself. Yet the land tempted him. He had been sick. Now he seemed better than ever before. And sick. I think Steve Donahue was talking about how he had he was a leper, I think is what this series is about. And so, through no fault of his own, he had been outcast, unclean, a pariah. Now he was regarded as a reincarnation of the land's greatest hero, Berek Halfhand, armed with the mystic power of white gold. That power alone could protect the lords of the land from the ancient evil of the despisers, Lord Fowl. Only Covenant had no idea of how the power could be used. Thus begins one of the most remarkable epic fantasies ever written. And so, so this is what I'm going to be reading for that. And then the other book is DuneTube, is Dune by Frank Herbert. And this is another reader for me. I read it a couple years ago through an audiobook, and so this I'm going to be reading a physical copy, and I feel like I'll get like a different experience from physically reading it. And this is funny enough. I found this like the one of the mornings, like before it was even announced. I had no idea that this was going to be a thing. And so talk about fate. And then like that afternoon when I got home, I saw everyone was posting about doing DuneTube, and so yeah, I have to participate in that one. And I don't typically get mass markets, but I saw this cover, and it really attracted the eye, and so I had to pick it up. Because the books I keep are books I want to reread again, and so mass markets I feel like they don't hold up as well, but this for sure will stand a couple rereads. And let's see, the next book that's continuing on with all of the read-alongs I'm doing is Betsy and the World, and this is the 9th book in the series. And I still need to read Betsy and Joe. I'm waiting for it in my library, and so I will read Betsy and Joe and Betsy and the Great World this coming month in July. And let's see, the next one, the last of the participating books is the 5th book in the Wheel of Time. And this is The Fires of Heaven. And here's that cover. There's some people on the cover. And yeah, it's hard for me to talk about this big long series, but this is the continuation of The Shadow Rising, which I'm finishing up this weekend. And I forgot how much I really enjoyed the 4th book, because I've read the first 3 multiple times, and then I've read the whole series 3 times, I believe. Or twice. I can't remember. And so I forgot how much I really enjoyed, the later books. And so I'm sure this one will be equally as good as the 4th one. So moving on from all of these read-alongs is a history book that recently came out in, it came out in May. And this is The Drugged Land, Chasing Water and Dust Across California by Mark Arax. And this sounded interesting to me because I'm currently living in the California Valley area, and this is all about like the history and like about the agriculture and what comes from this area. And so I'll read a bit about the book. So in The Drugged Land, he travels the state to explore the one-of-a-kind distribution system built in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s that is straining to keep up with California's relentless growth. And this is all about water, because water is super important in California, because our rainy season is really only from around October, sometimes November, until March or April. So it's a short time of rain. Outside of that, we get zero rain, zero. And so that's why there's so many wildfires. And but in this valley, they has a lot of cattle, and there's a lot of farming, a lot of fruits and vegetables, and like that you see in your grocery stores, because it's like a Mediterranean climate here, and so they're able to grow for a long amount of time. But there's no water to sustain it, and so it's very, very important to have a canal system, the damming system, to be able to support all of this. And this is not even including the people who live there. It's a very populated area. And so let's see. This is a heartfelt, beautifully written book about the land and the people who have worked it, from gold miners to wheat ranchers to small fruit farmers in today's big agriculture. Since the beginning, Californians have redirected rivers, drilled ever deeper wells, and built higher dams, pushing the water supply past its limits. The book weaves reportage, history, and memoir to confront the Golden State myth in riveting fashion. And so this is about the West and California. So this is perfect for me to read. And so the next one is I wanted to read it for the Pride Month, but I'm not being able to get into my library until July. And so this is one that I intended to read. It's Out of the Shadows: Reimagining Gay Men's Lives by Walt Odets. And let's see what this one says. A moving exploration of how gay men construct their identities, fight to be themselves, and live authentically. It goes without saying that even today, it's not easy to be gay in America. While young gay men often come out more readily, even those from the most progressive of backgrounds still struggle with the legacy of early life stigma and a deficit of self-acceptance, which can fuel doubt, regret, and at worst, self-loathing. And this is not to say nothing of the ongoing trauma wrought by AIDS, which is all too often relegated to history. Drawing on his work as a clinical psychologist during and in the aftermath of the epidemic, Walt Odets reflects on what it means to survive and figure out a way to live in a new, uncompromising future, both for the men who endure the upheaval of those years and for the younger men who have come of age since then, at a time when an HIV epidemic is still ravaging the gay community, especially among the most marginalized. And so this is, I think, a depiction of many different people's stories of their experience. It sounds like past and present, which it sounds really, really good. The next book that's continuing on with my nonfiction picks for this month is Waging War: The Clash Between Presidents and the Congress, 1776 to ISIS, by David J. Barron. And I like this cover. It's a simple cover, but it has a cannon here, and then it has a jet here. So it's like, that kind of like represents the time period that it's gonna, it escalates. let's see, a timely account of the raging debate, the history of the ongoing struggle between the presidents and Congress over who has the power to declare war. And that power has like shifted over time. You know, the president has gained more and more power as time's gone on, you know, from George Washington to now Trump. Like a lot has shifted with the power of the Congress and the president. And so this sounds really, really good. And the last fiction book I'm reading is Elderhood, Redefining Aging, Transforming Medicine, Reimagining Life by Louise Arison. And here's that cover. And it's a hand, like a withered hand, like a wrinkled hand that's holding this little clip. And it says, for more than 5,000 years, old has been defined as beginning between the ages of 60 and 70. That means most people alive today will spend more years in elderhood than in childhood, and many will be elders for 40 years or more. At the very moment that humans are living longer than ever before, we've made old age into a disease, a condition to be dreaded, neglected, and denied. And so, this sounds really good because, you know, like, as technology has progressed in medicine, we've been able to push our life expectancy, you know, later and later. And so, like how it's like 40 years of our lives could be spent as an elderly person. And so, this might be a little bit grim reading, but I think also, hopeful as well, because, you know, our life expectancy isn't, you know, 60 or 70 anymore. You know, we could live almost, you know, to 100, if not longer. I have a great grandmother who lived until she was 102, and that's a pretty long life. And so, it's I think it's gonna be a fascinating read, even though you know, a bit grim. But, you know, like, none of us are getting out of this alive. So I mean, you know, but so yeah, it'll be an interesting book. And then switching from nonfiction, because all these like books I'm reading are fiction, I wanted to talk a bit about the nonfiction. So anyway, this is just one of the books besides all these read-alongs I'm doing that is a fiction, and it's Sean McGuire's Middlegame, and she wrote like the Doorway series, and so this is the first standalone book of hers that I've read, and it says, let's see, meet Roger, skilled with words, languages come easily to him. He instinctively understands how the world works through the power of a story. Meet Dodger, his twin. Numbers are her world, her obsession, her everything. All she understands, she does so through the power of math. Roger and Dodger aren't exactly human. Though they don't realize it, they aren't exactly gods either. Not entirely, not yet. Meet Reed, skilled in the alchemical arts, like his progenitor before him. Reed created Dodger and her brother. He's not their father, not quite, but he has a plan to raise the twins to the highest power, to ascend with them and claim their authority as his own. Godhood is attainable. Pray it isn't attained. And so, yeah, this sounds really good. I know she's written, you know, several standalones, but they haven't really interested me at all compared to her Wayward children's series. But this one does, and I've heard really good things about this book. And so, yeah, this is one I'm going to be reading this month. And so, yeah, let me know if you're reading any of these books and participating in all these many different read-alongs that are happening. Read-alongs, oh my gosh, I just can't, I need to like read up on which is which, because I get them too confused. But yes, I'm looking forward to being able to participate and discuss all of these different books throughout this month. I hope we all have a fantastic reading month, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, BookTube.